they should be able to get access to the data down here, right? Then you get some other issues. Who determines who's going to get access to what data? But in principle, if it has something to do with me, then I will be the one deciding who can get access to my data. Now, if we have a situation like this, that we have multiple stakeholders up here, and you have a lot of data here that you are sharing on, you always happen up in a situation where you need this service operator, trusted service operator, because someone is going to take care of all the connections between data and service supplier and customer. As long as there's something that's important involved, and important that could, for example, be something where money is involved, or where some kind of security or integrity is involved. You always end up in this situation when you share, and you have different actors that will share your resources. And it's no matter whether it's physical or whether it's data or not. And I think this is one of the key findings here. So you want to determine who is going to be this service operator, trusted service operator, who's going to take this role. Because if this role is not here, then the system will collapse. Then there's no one to take care of who's authorized to do what. And I can give you one example. If you have a motion detector in your house, that can be built or be used for many different things. Just for example, if you go to the toilet, then turn on, turn off the lights, and it can be used as a burglar alarm, and it's also used as a service, so social care service for to check whether you are passive or active. Right, so it's a device that can be used in many different ways. Now, if the this motion detector is supplied by the housing company, and the municipality, they are allowed to get data from that one to offer me a social care service. So who's responsible if this one fails, or if it should have a new battery or something? That's also one of the issues you need to solve, right? So if this service here fails because the housing company hasn't changed battery or something else is wrong, what's happening then? It's something that needs to be sorted out. Okay, there are a lot of things that needs to be sorted out. Responsibility area is important. Business models, we have been through it. How do we share the money between us that we make here? Security, integrity, there are legal aspects and so on. All this has to be solved, but it's not so much technology, because as I said, you can build it today if you want to, but still you have other things that are actually hindering you to do it. This is another example, and this is this is a social care service. This is called Natfred, and this is a webcam that's installed at many old people, or it's tested at least. So many old people, they need to get some kind of control from the social care unit. So people from the municipality, they drive around, they open the house, get into the bedroom and checks, oh, is it okay here? And then they go again. So as a replacement or an alternative, many have started testing this camera. So instead of getting out to people 2, 3, 4 times a night, someone at the control center can actually just check 2, 3, or 4 times on this web camera whether everything is okay. And there are different integrity issues that should be balanced against each other. But the thing is that once this has been tested, people are mostly positive about it, and that's both people working with it, the municipality, the users, their family, and so on. So people, they tend to be happy with this after they have started testing it, after initially saying, no, we don't want this, but people like it. It has been tested in more than 60 municipalities around Sweden. And if you actually start counting on it, there's a return on investment in less than a year. It's only in Västerås that it's used in a larger scale, and I think they have like 30 installations or something. So it's close to nothing. And why is that? This is very strange. It's such a good service, a digital service that's not really being used, even though it's economically sound and people like it. Well, the way is that if this company, the service provider, they go to a municipality, they have to do an integration here in the municipality, and it'll take, I don't know, 2 or 3 days to open up the ports and do the integrations in the municipal backend. Then they go to the next municipality and do the installation. And it's the same thing, because not 2 of the 290 municipalities, they have the same technical backend. So they will need to integrate again, and it'll take a few days. And then they'll go to the next municipality, and so on. And these, they have been to 60 different places. So imagine what kind of documentation they must have for that. And it's not scalable, simply. The same thing is if you come with service number 2 to the municipality, you have to do this integration again, and again, and again. It's not scalable. So it's like M times N types of integrations. This is one of the reasons why these digital social care services, they're not really used today in the municipalities. There's another reason that has to do with how to organize themselves, but which is equally important. But I'm not going to talk about this. But the technical issue here is that you have these M times N integrations. So instead, you should use a platform, and everywhere you have like many different services that needs to go to one point. You use a platform. So it's nothing strange about that. So we are trying to promote use a platform, but also very important, you should make it open. So it should be open in the sense that every new service provider, they can get access to the platform and deliver their service. And who's going to ask for this openness? Well, it's the municipalities themselves, because if they don't ask for it, it will not happen. Because the companies that can actually supply this, as a first reaction, it's no, we don't want to have competition here. Maybe someone can supply a service that's actually much better than their service, right? And they want to avoid that. So the initial reaction here is always, no, we don't want to share anything here. But this is also one of the angles of Internet of Things. And we come back to the platform here. Someone should have this platform here. In the best case, the one owning the platform should not have any services on the platform, because if that organization here do not have own services, then they're interested in getting as many services in as possible, and then the interfaces will be much simpler. So it will be easier to connect a new service. Maybe we can't get that, at least not initially, but this is the goal again. So it should be open for every service provider that would like to offer their services here. And also, if you have it this way, then it's much easier for a new service provider to get in, because you just need to follow this interface here and maybe supply a sensor, but you don't have to think about connectivity and security and legal aspects and so on. Not so much, at least. You just add your service here. Okay, so if we continue here along the way of Internet of Things, or real Internet of Things, where you actually start to share data in another way, then in this project I talked about, we will demonstrate. It's a pretty simple service, but nevertheless it shows the strength of sharing data. Here in this house you have a motion detector, and it's very cheap, and you all have one at home, I guess. And you have a home away button. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's often in new apartments it's installed. So if you leave your home, you press away, and then a number of outlets will turn off. And you get home, you press home, and they will turn on again. So that could be connected to the lamps or the stereo or the coffee machine or whatever. But it's a very simple function. But maybe this one has been installed by the alarm company, and maybe this one is installed by the housing company. That would typically be the case. So you have different variants here. If I'm home and there's motion, then everything is like it should be, of course. If I'm away and there's no motion, then nothing to worry about. But if I'm home and there's no motion, then either I have forgot to turn on the away button and I can get a notification, or I have actually fallen somewhere and maybe I'm in, I don't know, in the kitchen floor or something. So then a passivity alarm will be triggered. And if I'm old and get the service from the municipality, then the social care unit will come home to me and check whether everything is okay. Now, if I'm away and there's motion, then this one should go directly to the alarm company, so they can send out someone to check whether there's a burglar there. All right, so you see different, very, very simple functions, how they can be coupled together and create new types of services. And the point is, we don't know what kind of services we will get. This is just an extremely simple one. But what we really want is some kind of a marketplace or app store for the home, so that everyone can see, or not everyone, those that are allowed to see, can see what kind of data do I have here, what kind of service can I build on top of that one. And that is Internet of Things. That's when we really start to share data. Instead, if we don't share data, then it's intranet of things. Maybe Apple, they can do something wonderful for the home and healthcare and so on. And it'll work and it'll be a nice design and so on, but it's not the Internet of Things. I think that's to release this innovation force, then you need to end up in a situation like that when you share for real, not the way that it is today. You really need to share it. So, these 50 billion connected devices, that's all very good, and we will hopefully all be more happy about that, but it's not Internet of Things. It's Internet of Things that we want. We want to share data, because that will release the power of innovation, right? When everyone can build on wonderful services on all the data out there. So it leads to more services, better and cheaper services. It's pretty much when you got the smartphone, something. Well, that's the vision of it. And we need to tear down these silos and transform industry and society. That will be a consequence of all this. So that's where we are going. And I just want to show this slide here. This is from Cisco. And they say that today, 99% of things, they are not connected. Right, so there's still 99% out there to be connected. And this 1% that is connected, that's not even Internet of Things. So imagine what we can achieve with all this. Okay, so that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Klaus. Questions? I'll have a microphone here so we can do this a little bit easier.
Yes, I was a little bit confused about your insistent use of the word platform.
Yeah.
Because I saw an alternative to call it an infrastructure. I mean, if we talk about connectivity, I mean,
yeah.
The Internet itself is something that we just connect to.
Yeah.
It's not a platform in my sense. Because if I think about a platform, it's somebody who owns it, makes money out of it, and you're sort of locked in as a customer. Are you really envisioning a situation where you become locked in on a platform vendor in your context? Or could it be seen as an infrastructure, and what is then the difference?
Okay. Yes. Okay, I apologize for using the word platform all the time. That's also mental laziness from my point of view. But your question whether it is a platform or it is an infrastructure, and you mentioned Internet as an infrastructure. Then I will get back to this again, that whenever you have something that you share, when you have multiple, this was not the best of, I will take this one. When you have multiple service providers and you have multiple data sources down here, and there's something that's important, which could be money or it could be integrity or something, then you need to have this trusted service operator, because you need someone that will control which service supplier is going to get access to which data and to which customer. Because if it's just internet here, if you don't have the service operator here, if everything is just internet, then anyone can get into my home and see what kind of services do I have here. And that's not that will not work, because then it's not safe. And also there's no way of making money on it. And I think that has to be there somewhere for many of these services, that someone needs to be able to earn money on it. So I think for many things, it's okay with just the infrastructure, if you call it internet. But for many other things, you really need to have this service operator. Yeah.
Well, I didn't say that you should only use the internet as the infrastructure, but if you think about it, the internet evolves.
Yeah.
I mean, security was not an issue in the beginning.
No.
Right, but now it's taken seriously, and in this evolution, I mean, it will end up somewhere.
Yeah.
So the question is whether you could see that the internet itself could evolve in a direction where it could provide the kind of support that you are talking about, except for the money, perhaps.
I could easily see that, but in that case, this function here would be embedded in the system. Because if for example, I have my motion detector at home, somehow I have to grant access to specific service providers that they can see this information. And maybe there will be other mechanisms, but at some stage, I as a person will need to give my consent to someone that will access my data. And I guess there are different ways around it, but we'll see how it ends up. But here in the first stage, we do need this. Yeah.
Yeah. Shahid from 6 Swedish ICT. My first question is this something implemented or you're planning to implement?
No, we are doing it at the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah.
So I didn't get what is service operator here. If I, as a layman, I think it's my sensors connected to a cloud service, which is a service provider in this case, or service operator, and then this cloud is giving data to all other services.
Yes.
So it's at the end of the day, it's one single platform you're educating, at least in this architecture. I think the service operator here is your platform. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's the same thing. Because looking at this architecture, there is no other platform except maybe gateway can be. But I think this is the service operator, which is the platform we are discussing. So in this case, are you educating again? Then there will be one single platform, because it's much easy in that case. But I can see two boxes there. You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, there will be multiple platforms. And I think there will for social care services, you will see one platform. For facility services, you will see another platform. In your car, you will see a third platform, and so on. But what we have seen in the project here, because we have different tracks, both facility service and social care services, that, for example, for the facility services, then the housing owners, they ask, oh, well, but can't we just install something and use it as a social care service as well? And yes, you can do that. So, but I think we will get different kinds of platforms, but then they will start to grow out in different areas or new areas. And exactly how or how fast it'll be, I don't know. But we will have different platforms, and then we need some kind of federation so that they can communicate between them.
And that's part of your project, or it's?
We're not looking at the federation issues, not because we are looking. What we're focusing on is the business models and how to collaborate. Who's responsible for which parts? Because if we don't share that, then there's no idea in continuing with federation, because it has to be solved. So.
Very quick question. Maybe someone else has to ask question. Do you think that the gateway here is a trusted gateway, or it's just the protocol converter? Like, do you think that the devices are connected with a gateway, and that's the end point of security from the device point of view? Or they are end-to-end connected?
You can do it in many different ways. So it's a technical implementation. So
because that makes the whole thing. I came from the security and IoT background, then it's a different thing. Okay, but you didn't decide it. it
no.
yet.
No, we're not. We don't want to interfere with that. That's our partners that will have to choose what they want to do.
Thank you. I was just curious about your analogies here, because all these middlemen that you were referring to, Uber, Blocket, Airbnb, they have all emanated from some kind of customer pain that
yes.
The customers have not really been happy with their previous solutions. And I guess that the Spotify is in the same league as well. Where do you see the customer pain today? I mean, who somewhere a lot of people will have to pay something for this to happen. Who is going to pay?
Okay, but you can agree with me that for Uber, Airbnb, Blocket, Android, Spotify, then there is a functioning market. Someone is paying. And
there is a functioning market, yes, but they have all emanated from a customer pain. Yes. I don't see the customer pain in your example.
No, and it's a good question. Here I have Open Stockholm and I have communication operator for Open Fiber Networks. Open Stockholm, that's Stockholm's open data. You get open data in other cities as well. And these two are examples that are not derived from customer pain, so to speak, because these are more, if you could call them, welfare services. The municipalities will call them different things, and social care services would be one of them, and facility services could be one of them as well. So it's not like these commercial services, and we're not in any way trying to compete with these. So we are focusing on these more welfare services. And the idea of the mechanism behind, I think you can get a lot from the communication operators for open fiber networks. That was not something that just came out of the blue. That was something that was demanded by the Association of Public Housing Companies. So they constructed this model, but it works, and now you have competition on that layer as well. But someone will have to pay for this one, right?
Yeah.
For this
so
work. And the same with if I just continue here, and the same with the open data here. Someone will have to pay for maintaining this platform and maintaining the interfaces and expanding it with more data and so on. Yeah.
So what you're talking about is more or less social engineering rather than business.
No.
Okay. Just trying to be productive. Excuse me.
So any further questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have someone? No. Okay. Yes. So then I would like to thank you for your attention again, and thank you if you were out there in the cyber room. Thank you.